Welcome to a special edition of the 901. I'm Tyler Stegall.
And I'm Tony Holman Turner, producer of the 901 show. Unfortunately, Tiffany can't join us today as duty calls as she is taking care of some City of Memphis business as it relates to COVID-19, the pandemic. And this show focuses on how we are adapting to a new normal of dealing with COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus.
You know, Tony, I was wondering how some of these new normal changes would affect travel here in the Bluff City. So I had the opportunity to chat with Milton Howry, who is the Director of Public Relations for Memphis Tourism, formerly known as Memphis Convention and Visitors Bureau. He gave some really good insight on what visitors and us staycationers can expect.
Tyler, you know, after staying safe at home and cooking all the time, I'm sure that many of us in the 901 are really looking forward to a sit-down dine-in experience. Tiffany had the opportunity to speak with a local restaurateur, Sean Danko, who is also on the executive board of the Tennessee Hospitality and Tourism Association. They talked about some of the safety measures restaurants are making to keep their staff and patrons safe during this pandemic. Actually, after speaking with him, I felt a little more comfortable about going out and dining in.
I'm looking forward to dining out myself, Tony. Everyone knows Memphis is known for its food and national attractions, but none of that would exist without musicians and the Memphis sound. Over at the Stax Music Academy, I talked with Pat Mitchell-Worley, its executive director, on how coronavirus was affecting everyday musicians and our musicians of the future.
This virus is no joke, and everyone should take the necessary precautions to keep themselves safe and healthy, physically and mentally. I was able to sit down and talk with John Marshall Gilmore, director of the Open Heart Spiritual Center, to discuss some of the simple things we can do to keep ourselves mentally healthy.
Things are constantly evolving, even when you enter City Hall. We have new protocols and procedures for employees and guests upon entrance into our facilities. So 901 family, sit back and let us give you a glimpse at our new normal.
The Memphis Area Transit Authority is working diligently to keep patrons and staff safe. Its fleet is cleaned every day with hospital-grade disinfectant along with a bleach and water solution. Bus shelters are also sanitized daily. Operators wear gloves and masks and carry disinfectant wipes. In an effort to keep everyone safe, patrons are strongly encouraged to wear facial coverings and practice social distancing.
We're here at Central Station train station, just behind where people disembark to get the full Memphis experience. We're going to talk with Milton, who's a member of Memphis Tourism, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how the Memphis experience is changing due to COVID-19. Let's check it out. Thanks so much for having us, Milton. Thanks for joining us to talk with us a little bit about tourism and how it's been impacted in Memphis by this COVID-19 pandemic. Before we get into all that, I want to know a little bit about you.
I've been in Memphis. I'm a native Memphian. I spent my entire life in the city of Memphis. I went to Whitehaven High School, went to University of Memphis, and I got my start in tourism 13 years ago.
What brings people to Memphis?
The music. You know, very few cities has a music legacy like Memphis that can say they are influential on the blues, the soul music, the birthplace of rock and roll. But even though we have that legacy music, we're still producing great music today from R&B and hip hop. So our music scene is the legacy, but also still very current. So people come here to experience that. Then you have the food and the culinary scene. So we are the barbecue capital. And so nobody does barbecue quite like Memphis. Over 100 barbecue restaurants. So visitors come to get a taste of that Memphis barbecue. And then there's also the history here. You know, we're the home where the National Civil Rights Museum is located, and it is where Dr. King was assassinated at the Rain Motel. And so people are coming here to learn that history about the Civil Rights Movement and learning Memphis' part in that movement. And so those are things from the history to the people and the food and the music. That is what brings people here.
So now that COVID-19 has hit Memphis, let's walk through what that looks like going forward, starting with the hotel industry. We're here in the Central Hotel. How are the hotels here in Memphis affected, and how do we go forward?
Across the country, hotels like this one here have seen a decrease in decrease in visitors staying in their hotels. And so that's happened, and it's something that we have no control over. So you're gonna have to think a little bit more when you go into a hotel. You're gonna think about, for instance, I was out the other day and I realized I'm so used to standing in line to just immediately directly behind the person. I have to remind myself, Milton, you need to social distance when you're in line. So maybe when you check in, you'll have hotels that'll be checking in, and we're going to have signs that that state social distancing measures and what that looks like. There's going to be more hand sanitizer stations, and there's going to be more things available for an awareness for guests, and more hand washing stations and things like that. There's for employees, and then more hand sanitizer stations for guests. So you have those things, but then hotels also, like the Peabody, for instance, have they're taking certain rooms out of selling. They're no longer selling only but so many rooms. They decrease the amount of rooms that they're selling. But also, when those rooms, once you check into a room and then that person checks out, they're not putting that room back into the rotation of being sold until a certain period of time. Those are different measures that they're taking in place and to ensure that when you check into a hotel, the things are going to be safe. So personally, I feel safe going, anywhere. I feel safe going anywhere, but you have to still take precautions. So you should wear your mask, and you must follow all the rules and regulations that the hotel or that the city officials are telling you to follow.
What do attractions in Memphis look like going forward?
So attractions, so you're going to expect a more intimate, experience. Just think about how great the experience is going to be when you go into Graceland and it's maybe just you and the immediate people in your family, or if it's going to be less people. So they're decreasing the amount of people that they're allowing to take the tour at a time. Same as the zoo. They've decreased their amount of admissions they're allowing people into the zoo. Honestly, that doesn't take away from the experience. It actually, in my opinion, enhances the experience. So you're going to still get the amazing attractions in Memphis. You're going to still get the amazing zoo, Graceland, Stax, the Rock and Soul Museum. Those things are going to be the programming of those attractions have not changed, and this virus does not decrease the value of those programs and offerings that those attractions offer.
Given the new normal that the 901 is going to be experiencing, what do you tell that traveler who's considering coming to Memphis?
All of our great attractions are still here. Nothing's changed about them. Graceland hasn't moved. Still there. Bill Street hasn't moved. It's still there. The barbecue is still being grilled. So I'll tell you, those things, our attractions are still intact, and you can still come and experience them.
Awesome. Milton, thanks so much for having us and spending the time with us to talk with us about what the new normal here is in Memphis.
All right, thank you for having me.
As we prepare to get back to our new normal, we get to dine out at our favorite restaurant. We're here at Cook at Canuck to speak with Sean Danko, restaurateur, who also happens to be on the executive board of Hospitality Tennessee. Sean, thank you so much for giving us your time.
You're welcome, Tiffany. I'm glad you're here.
I've looked around and I see some friends on the wall, and as I kind of toured the place, I was wondering, was this all your handiwork, or did they come to you
No, I was too busy opening up a restaurant, so thankfully I had a lot of great friends that had a lot of significant others that said no more, get it off the wall, and there's a great place downtown that we know you can put it up at.
It is very impressive.
Thank you.
So I walked in, I also saw a Canadian flag, and I'm pretty confident that I may have mispronounced the name. So is there some correlation with Cook at Canuck and Canada?
Yeah, well, I just happen to be Canadian, funny enough. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, and I moved here back in 2000 for Hard Rock Cafe, and decided to open up my own business shortly thereafter. And here we are, 15 years later. A guy from Montreal ends up in Memphis, and yeah, it's been fantastic.
Do we see that influence in the menu?
Absolutely, yeah. There's some Canadian elements like poutine. We do our own Canadian bacon. We got 37 Canadian whiskeys, Canadian beer. We actually have more Canadian whiskey behind the bar here in Memphis than most bars do in Canada.
Really?
Yes, that's a fact.
Been in the business for 15 years.
Correct.
It is probably very likely that you've never experienced anything like COVID-19. So can you tell us what that did to operations and how you had to reconfigure to stay afloat?
It has turned the restaurant business completely upside down. So everything you thought you knew about the restaurant business, you no longer know about the restaurant business. Yeah, the basic principles still apply, but adapting to what was placed in our lap with COVID-19 was an extreme challenge, right? So you went from having full restaurants and full bars to empty. Nobody was allowed to dine in your restaurant. Yeah, this is a problem when you rely on income from people entering in your restaurant. So having to adapt through to-go, curbside delivery, if you didn't have third-party delivery companies that you were working with, adding those as well. So yeah, it was a huge challenge just in adapting to try to figure out how to get sales back into the restaurant.
And I know you speak from a very unique position. You're on the executive board of Hospitality Tennessee. From that position, what should visitors expect?
Well, currently the city of Memphis and Shelby County don't require people to wear masks when they come into the restaurant, but our staff does. So you will see our staff. Everybody will have facial coverings. Some have chosen to do their own mask, and we supply them if they do not have any. Gloves, you will see employees wearing gloves more often than you've probably seen in the past. You'll see sanitizer stations set up. We've sat every other table, which has allowed us to keep 6 feet of distance between each table. So we've taken the service items off, such as knives and forks, napkins, ketchup, salt and pepper shakers. All those items have come off the table. And why? Because we don't want to do the contact from person to person. So we don't want to spread anything from person to next person. So we're going to bring those items out to you individually as you need them.
Is there anything that the general public can do to support the industry during this time?
I get it. Times are scary and uncertain. And some people may not be so certain that going to a restaurant is safe. We've been doing responsible service of healthy, clean, safe food. This is what we do on a regular basis. We are subject to 2 health inspections every year, and it's pretty intensive. They ask our employees questions on how to serve food, what temperatures they should be served at. So we go through intensive health inspections annually.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. I, for one, am so happy that our restaurants are back in business and our people are getting back to work. And I wish you so much success. Thank you again for your time. I would shake your hand, but...
Air bumps. Right on. Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Good to have you.
For more information, visit www.shelbytnhealth.com.
The census is coming. Let's discuss how this will affect us.
Funding for better public transportation.
Increase hospital and health care options.
More funding for arts programs.
Equitable representation in government.
This is Mayor Jim Strickland. We all want a better Memphis, and you can respond online, by phone, or via mail. Visit 901counts.com for more details.
This message is strictly for those who need it, and you know who you are. Y'all don't know me, but I know you. I know you because I was you. I made a punk move with a gun just like you. Shooting at anyone who can't shoot back is a punk move. Then you run, just like a punk. You was a tough guy 3 seconds ago, now you running. So I'm gonna say this one more time. Don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time.
Here we are at the Stax Music Academy to talk with Executive Director Pat Mitchell-Worley. She's going to tell us a little bit about how COVID-19 has affected the music and entertainment industry. Let's go see Pat. All right, Pat, and tell us a little bit about where we're at here.
Right now, we are at Stax Music Academy. We are in the Levi's Justin Timberlake Song Lab. So it's a space for artists here, the young artists here at Stax Music Academy to come create, work together, you know, and make new music.
And you've been in the industry for a long time, I understand. Tell me about your background.
Currently, right now, I am Executive Director of Stax Music Academy. Before that, I was at the Memphis Music Foundation, it was a economic development organization for the music industry in Memphis. And before that, I worked at a various group of music and arts organizations in town, from Memphis in May to Arts Memphis. So it has been a wonderful 25-year career that has given me a deep love of the music that comes from Memphis and the art that is made here and the people that make it.
Awesome, and now you're giving back to the students who are trying to find their own creative outlets. So tell me a little bit about the work that you do with the students here at Stax.
Well, it's funny you say I'm giving back, because I feel like I get far more out of working here than them giving back to me. At the end of the day, yes, I go home and love the work that I do, but to watch and be a part of a young artist growing into themselves is a beautiful thing. So at Stax Music Academy, not only do we teach young people how to play instruments, we teach music performance, we teach music theory, songwriting, music production, and our students come from schools all over the Mid-South.
We're taking a special look at how COVID-19 has affected many of the industries in Memphis. And you know, music is such a big part of Memphis. Tell us a little bit about how COVID-19 first has impacted the students that you all have been working with.
The biggest part is they left school on March 12th or 13th and started distance learning. For them, that was a huge jump. For the instructors, we started preparing for some kind of disruption to school and to our program in February. So we had like a month that we worked really hard to be able to move everything online. Our program, most people, they may not know that we don't just teach music. We also have a youth development curricula that goes with the program. And as a part of that, our students have been able to talk. We've done mental health sessions with them, you know, small groups. How are you doing? What's going on? You know, and let them sort of talk out what's happening in their life. We've done surveys with the parents to find out how the students are doing and what they may need extra help with. We're also fortunate enough here that we have a counseling service that works with us. So for some of our families that are having a hard time adjusting to this new normal and the constant change that goes with it, because that's scary, you know, we have counselors that they can talk to. This has been just another element that we've been able to offer our families here during this, you know, crisis time. For us also, we've partnered with Memphis Slim House and the Food Bank to do several mobile food pantries.
Tell us about how the entertainment industry has been impacted, those, not the kids, but on the back end.
Well, I know I can tell that story just from the fact that most of our instructors are musicians that play out here in town. They're professional musicians. That's what they do for a living. And they have seen their gigs dry up. And if you don't have shows, how do you pay the bills? So for most of them, they have had to figure out alternative ways to make money. I know musicians in Memphis that are doing Uber Eats. I know a lot of them are also doing performances online, and that's one way to directly affect musicians' pocketbook. You know, is when you see somebody playing for you online, put a tip in there. You know, give them a couple of bucks. As a whole, most of the industry, and when I say that, I don't just mean Memphis, the industry in general is now trying to figure out how do we adapt to this new world.
Pat, thanks so much for having us today. Thanks for allowing us into your space and telling us about all that you're doing to adapt to this new normal in this COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, I'm Toni Holman Turner, and today on the 901, we're going to talk with John Marshall Gilmore, Director of the Open Heart Spiritual Center. With everything that's going on today with COVID-19, he's going to sit down and talk with us about how we can get through some of this turmoil. Come on, let's go meet him. John, with everything that's going on in the world today, how can people cope with some of this uncertainty that's happening around us?
one of the things that I always say at Open Heart Spiritual Center, that pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Paying attention to what you're paying attention to me, is an invitation into something that you hear talked about a lot these days, which is mindfulness. And that's really being aware of what it is that you are thinking, what it is that you are processing, what it is that you are letting affect you. And I think that with all of the things that are happening with COVID-19, the various recommendations that are constantly coming out and being revised, the news, the statistics about infection rates and death rates and all of that, it becomes important to become mindful, to bring ourselves back into the present moment, if you will, where there we can find our inner resources, where we can find a way to, despite all that is happening, to be able to find a place that we can center and find a place of peace.
What would you say would be some of the steps that some people can do? You know, some people like to meditate, some people pray. What would you recommend that some of the people in the 901 do?
I think that meditation is very important. And meditation doesn't have to be, a lot of times people think that for meditation, you have to go off to a faraway place or have all kinds of atmosphere and that kind of thing. But ultimately, meditation, again, is focusing your thoughts, concentrating. And so you can do something as simple as focusing on your breath, or you can find sounds oftentimes in nature. Because in the morning time, the birds outside my house are really singing. And so I will lay there in bed for a while and just focus on that. Or prayer certainly is another aspect that however a person chooses to pray. I know that people like to have information, but I think really limiting the amount of news we expose ourselves to, the amount even of social media, could be a big help.
One of the things I was thinking about was people just getting out, enjoying, like walking on the bluff, just getting out, getting some physical exercise, and what that does to us on the inside out.
Being outside can truly rejuvenate and refresh us. I'm a person who likes being by water, so being here by the Mississippi is really doing something for me. And there are other people who find other places that give them a sense of peace, sense of rejuvenation. I know one of my friends talked about, she got sort of overwhelmed the other week, so she just went out and sat under a tree. And just being there close to a tree. And there are some cultures and spiritual systems that talk about if you have problems, tell them to a tree.
Tell them to a tree.
And certainly trees have stood this test of time, and I think can be a great resource.
Well, John, thank you so much for spending time with us today and giving people of the 901 something to work with, something to open their spirit with, and something to say, yes, we can get through this together as a city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris, and today I'm in Shelby Farms. Here and all over our county, we're wearing masks to stop the spread. So mask up, Shelby County.
For more information, visit www.shelbytnhealth.com.
Our buzz is starting to really pick up on the outside. Had one of the hottest rappers alive, shout out 901 Shelby Drive. Now it's really time to live up to the hype of Look Alive, Look Alive.
A new feel, a new vibe, a new drive, a new scene. The city that never bluffs. Keep it clean, keep it clean.
We make the naysayers believe.
Now the next step is up to you and me.
Cleaning our communities makes the 901 more appealing.
Mama always said to keep the house clean, so I'm gonna do the same for my city, our home, the place of our dreams.
We have a job to do. To protect the peace, the pride, and the people of our city. To realize our greatness together. To do the work that matters. For ourselves, our families, our community. Do you have the strength to serve? Learn the true value of a challenging and rewarding career in law enforcement with the Memphis Police Department. Join the best in blue. Visit joinmpd.com.
Hi, I'm Jerry the King Lawler. And from one king to the next, in Shelby County and even at Graceland, we wear masks. So mask up with the king.
For more information, visit www.shelbytnhealth.com.
As we reestablish operations and recover from the COVID-19 pandemic, please listen closely to the Back to Business protocol developed for City Hall and any business operation. Under the new norm, operational guidelines have changed. This includes workplace modifications and behavioral changes that are recommended for all employees as we re-enter the workplace. When entering the building, all employees must use designated doors and be screened and checked into the facility. This screening includes wellness inquiries, symptom checks, and temperature monitoring. Employees are asked to practice social distancing and maintain 6 feet between them and others at all times. This is both in the hallways and in all workspaces. Masks or face coverings are also required in accordance with CDC guidance. Elevator etiquette. Please stand back while waiting for the elevator door to open and allow others to exit before entering. Elevator traffic is limited to 3 people at a time to avoid overcrowding. Take the stairs or wait for the next elevator. Practice pushing buttons with an object or your elbow and avoid touching your face afterwards. Be sure to sanitize or wash your hands with soap after leaving the elevator. City Hall will operate at 50% occupancy with flexible work shifts and lunches to avoid long wait times when returning to the building. Please cover your sneeze or cough and wash your hands with soap and sanitize often. Employees are asked to clean workspaces and hard surfaces daily and remove the paper from your desk nightly. Mail and delivery pickup must be outside of the workspace. As an added precaution, employees cannot receive personal packages in the building. Employees should discontinue use of community items such as microwaves, refrigerators, and coffee makers, including Keurig systems. Do not reuse plastic utensils, paper cups, or lids. Also, group and celebratory lunches are discouraged if convening in a group less than 50. Buffet-style lunch service is also prohibited in the building, and water fountains on all floors have been deactivated. Your cooperation and patience is appreciated as we maneuver these new work social norms.
We're back.
Wow, that was a lot of information to digest.
Yeah, Tyler, that was a lot of information, but it's necessary that we keep the 901 informed.
Well, we hope you enjoyed it. This has been a special edition of the 901 Show. I'm Tyler Stegall.
And I'm Toni Holman Turner. Until next time, be safe, and thank you for joining the 901, a new normal. This is going to be interesting. All this new stuff that we have to do.
Toni, you're invited to my Zoom birthday party.
Oh, that is going to be totally awesome. I will bring the wine and the cheese and my own chair.
That brings